So the first thing that you have to tell me as a user, and for me to share that data, is to be comfortable with you, right? So if today I'm comfortable with you as a brand, to tell me first, I can opt out at any time. The value proposition of why you're collecting that data from me. Part number 3, who's gonna use that data? No one cares.
Yeah.
They just opt in, and we see consent in the MENA market on the 80%. In Europe, we see it in the 40%. So now you're on your data on that application. You choose to who to share it with, and at what time, and what type of information you want to share outside.
Right.
That sits on the blockchain, right? That's part number 1. Part number 2, if at some point my data was shared, my consent, I have a lot of advertisers asking for it, I don't really care who is, and I'm saying yes, my key goes to them, they unlock my kind of information, they use it. At some point I can go back and then trace it over the blockchain, because everything I'm doing and it's happening, it's registered as information.
Ihab, how are you?
Doing well?
Doing good?
Yeah, doing fantastic, man.
How's your Saturday morning been?
Well, it's been exciting, like driving here, like the weather is getting a little bit dark. I think it's gonna rain, so I was like, let me try to finish fast.
It is, right? I didn't even notice. I came here so quick. And yeah, I'm really excited to have you here.
No, thank you for inviting me as well.
Why don't you give the listeners and viewers like a bit of an intro about you, a background? Yeah.
So I've been in the media industry since 2005. And it was like quite an interesting journey to see how, from our side, like from marketing perspective, at first has been from a flash animation to HTML5, now to AI, and then doing all of that, and to blockchain, which like came into the market, and then no one trusted it, and then everyone started liking it, and everyone started investing into it, and now where we're reaching. It's been a quite journey to start a company called MEmob. So I'm today the founder and CEO of MEmob Data Intelligence Company. And from there we started, building a lot of different technologies that can actually help marketers and advertisers and even people now, where we move forward to different products that we have, to understand what does it mean marketing, what does it mean data, what does it mean your data. And I'm really afraid, my data is flying everywhere and whatever. So I want to tap into this with you as we move forward. It was a kind of like nice journey to expand outside Dubai, because now we are international. We've been in Europe, we've been in US. And we've been growing. We started 6 people in 2016 as a MEmob, and then today we are 85 people across the world. So yeah, it's exciting times.
Nice. And before we move on, just a little bit more, if you want light on your background. So what did you study?
So it's a bit funny when I sit with investors sometimes. They ask me, so what did you study? Because all of what you do today is really like coming from a background of, Java, jQuery.
Yeah, it's very technical.
Very
Every time I
technical,
speak to you, I'm like, man, this guy knows this stuff.
Yeah.
And tell us about what did you study, and how did you like get into, I guess, digital media, marketing technology, data, etc.
So look, by heart, I used to like marketing. It was like so mesmerizing for me how you can put a product in the market and then start selling, and why, right? So I got to the aspect of creativity, right? So today you want to be creative, you want to put the message outside, the visual about it, because it's so fun, it's so nice. And then from there, I graduated as a graphic designer.
Interesting.
And then from graphic design, I was like, what's next? Because at that time when I'm Lebanese originally. So in Lebanon, everyone who studied Photoshop, they became a designer. And everyone's just like, yeah, he can do design. And I was like, no, that's not really what I want to do. But it gave me the first push to go into advertising world. So then I did courses in Java
and web design, right?
Web design,
which exposes you to code.
Exactly. So I then done HTML5. So I started building websites. I started going to animation on HTML5. And then from there, I started with Tribal DDB in Lebanon, and then I flew to Dubai. I joined the company for advertising and marketing. And then, opportunities opens the doors for you. And then we've got Millennial Media at that time in London. They were the first network for advertising on mobile. So then advertising on mobile got into my mind, and then I started flying, understanding from them, sitting with AOL, Verizon in UK. And then at some point, I was approached by a company called Gimbal in US. They used to work with Qualcomm Technologies that they built as an SDK, software development kit, that comes into application.
So not into like data and code and data-driven marketing, etc.
And then when we understood how the SDKs functions and then the location and the information that they can pull out from the application itself on the mobile, I was like, why we don't do the correlation between a device ID and then the location and then start seeing where people go, because that's the last touch point before you go to sales, right? And then I was like, oh, wow, great. So we came back to Dubai. My CEO, it's a nice story. My CEO of my previous company, MediaQuest, I was like, listen, I want to do something. And he was a big believer of like what I wanted to do. So we started the MEmob company. And then from there,
Fantastic.
it went on.
And you're not just selling ads, you're building products today. You're building technology, you're building, products and solutions that are groundbreaking, that are pushing the envelope or pushing boundaries to help marketeers, get what they want.
100%.
And you are also building a sort of a tech that's built on blockchain, right?
True.
Could you tell me a little bit more about it? You said it's called BlahApp?
BlahApp. Exactly. So BlahApp, it's kind of like a blah blah everywhere. So it's like a sharing kind of thoughts and community with like a blapping all the time. So because we wanted to solve a solution, to find a solution and to solve a problem of advertisers and marketeers in terms of like data and data privacy and consent and where the data is coming from and how granular is that data. So the application that now we're actually invested in, and we have launched a different version of that in Europe for the past 2 years, but that I will explain it later about that kind of project. It's an application where today you are sitting at home, sliding through your social channels, and you're just like watching videos, getting entertained, and nothing happening there. But at that time, that channel is actually collecting data about what you're interested in or what you're doing. So what about if I give you today an application that tells you swipe the same, do the same, but the more you engage with the application, answer surveys, share your thoughts, it gives you points. These points will be immediately redeemed in a store, in a mall, from your preferred brands, transferred into Amazon kind of credits or any kind of different credits from Spotify or like whatever product that you would like. Would you like that or not?
Of course.
That's number one. So I'm giving you rewards for your data. I'm telling you, I'm taking your data, whatever you want, take these points and get the benefits out of it. So we're putting, again, the customer in the center of the marketing and advertising because everyone is using them.
Yeah, and keeping in mind also that today people are spending minimum maybe 3 hours on their phones every day. That's 5 hours, 6 hours. I have friends that have shown me their screen time, and I've seen numbers that are scary. They're scary, guys. Like I don't know what they're doing during their day.
That's true.
But I've seen double-digit numbers.
That's true.
On screen time. So if you're able to then make that time somehow productive, maybe perhaps earn some points. I mean that would be a good step, in the right direction.
And that's part number one, where you can make money out of your time. But now the second part of it, where the blockchain comes in, is the data privacy and the consent, right? So today I give you the option in the application to say, you know what, I'm happy to share with you my behavior, but I don't want to expose for you my age or gender or nationality or whatever location as an example. But if you do, you get more. So even today in the application, we're going to do a kind of a similar system where it tells you your data has been used by Infinity, whatever, right? Any kind of a different brand for a specific reason. And today what we're trying to do as well is, if I say I'm Ehab, I'm interested in fitness, what advertisements I would like to see?
Right.
Nike, they launch a new shoes for CrossFit, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying in my application, I'm interested in CrossFit. So immediately Nike can actually tell me, this is a new shoes running for CrossFit. Now it's in the market, know about it, buy it from our store. So now I'm doing something where instead of seeing disturbing advertisements, you see the relevant ones.
And it's based on opted-in choices.
100%.
Right? As opposed to, I've never signed up for, I don't know, Pampers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or deodorant.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, do I smell bad? It's a little bit, like you said, it's disruptive because you didn't sign up for it.
Exactly.
Right? It's based on your behavior that is probabilistic. And sometimes, most times it's not high probability disagree, right?
Exactly. So that's the problem with the advertising world. So today, if we can just bridge that from, I'm happy to receive advertisements, it's related to me, I'm seeing it, I'm telling the brand I've seen it, and they're actually rewarding me for that, I close the great kind of a line that everyone is happy about, and it's fantastic.
And I want to ask you a question on zero-party data before we move to blockchain and privacy, which is what we want to talk about a little bit more. when it comes to zero party data, I feel like one of the challenges, how do you get more audience groups onto like, you know, opting in?
Yeah.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, enlighten me, but I feel like most of the people and users who would opt in are people who are price sensitive, or maybe, you know, middle class, social class. How can you get more affluent people onto the platform? Is it a challenge?
Look, it's a big challenge for all the brands. Recently, I was in Web Summit this year in February, where we spoke about zero party data and what the brands should do to collect that zero party data and why it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you have to tell me as a user, and for me to share that data, is to be comfortable with you, right? So if today I'm comfortable with you as a brand, to tell me first, I can opt out at any time. The value proposition of why you're collecting that data from me. Part number 3, who's going to use that data, right? So these 3 things: value, who, and why.
Okay.
So today, when you answer these 3 questions, then you will be able to tell, okay, so I can deliver that. I'll give you an example. Sephora or Nike. Nike, they have built an application that they've been talking about it for so long. And they ask you for your zero-party data, right? Your information about your age. They'll ask you to connect your smartwatch to the application.
Yeah.
They want to read their heartbeat, how many times you train.
Talk about Nike Plus.
Nike Plus, right?
Yeah.
So they ask about all of this information, and that's your zero-party data. Why you're happy to share that with Nike as an example? First, number 1 is, I don't know if they are telling us if they're gonna share this data with someone else, but the main value proposition is they give you trainings.
Yeah.
So they say you like CrossFit, you like a steady kind of workout, you want to lose weight, they will give you trainers to tell you how to do trainings and workouts.
So there's a value exchange.
Value proposition.
Yeah.
Now, number 2, if I want to opt out, I'll just go to the privacy and they'll say, I don't want my data to be shared with anyone else. Opt me out from that. They will do that. So they gave me the comfort. Right. And number 3 is they're not sharing that data with anyone else.
Right.
So now I'm happy because it's to the brand. I love the brand. I like it. It's a benefit. Then I'll move forward.
Right.
So these 3 things, when you tap into them like a company, and that's what we're doing for BlahApp application, right? It will make sense. Because today in BlahApp, you can opt out. You are sharing what you want to share, and you're getting rewards. These 3, we're tapping into it. That's
Amazing.
the reason.
Yeah. I think that answers the question. At the end of the day, is what's the value that you're giving, right?
Yes.
And based on that value, you should be able to really onboard any type of user.
100%.
Right? Affluent, Gen Z.
All of them, man. You can speak about from the 60 to the 17 to the 13. Today, Roblox are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Brands in Roblox today, like I'm discovering in Saudi, clients are looking into tapping into gaming. And the first thing that they want to tap into gaming is saying, let's go to advertise in the gaming industry, in the gaming environment. They're like, but how are you going to compete with other brands? So Roblox, they allow you to do a kind of a big kind of a store for you.
Yeah.
And then when the Gen Z or like the 13, the 14, the 15 go there, they give them like a kind of a gadget from an avatar that they can attach to them. So that's a brand in terms of like giving you something. So they are building this kind of trust, giving you something to go to their store to start collecting time spent there, impressions, who's visiting me from an age perspective in Roblox.
Yeah.
That's the value proposition. So you need to know what would be the value proposition that you will give to people for them to be happy to come and contribute of what you're asking them to do.
Right. Right.
Does that common sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Value exchange, people. That's the key.
Yeah.
And let's talk now about blockchain and privacy.
Yep.
All right. I know that you've been doing a lot of work in that area. Sure. And I wonder also, like in MENA, how much do people care about privacy? Do they care as much as, you know, Europe and the US, or is it work that you're doing for your activities outside of MENA?
Yeah. So to start first is why we care for GDPR compliancy or CCPA compliant to be compliant, or even now in the MENA market. It's a very gray area because we spoke about it 2 years ago that Dubai is bringing UAE is bringing the rules and regulations for data collection, Saudi as well, and they only scratch the surface.
Yeah.
Only the surface.
Yeah.
Where if you're collecting data in the MENA market, you have to make your service available and in the actual country. Right. No data transfers to other countries unless you have the consent from the people, which now we have a couple of different servers in the MENA market, be it in Saudi or Dubai or Bahrain, that you can actually utilize to do that.
Yeah.
But if you are a company only functional in the MENA market, you don't have much of kind of compliance you have to follow. But when you become international, any company will come and look into how do you do these practices in the company itself.
Right.
So you cannot now say in Dubai I deal with data in this way and internationally I deal with data in that way.
Right.
It has to be as a one umbrella, and that's how it has to function. Now, how we see people and privacy and data in the MENA market, no one cares.
Yeah. From a consumer perspective, of course. Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
They just opt in, and we see consent in the MENA market on the 80%. In Europe, we see it in the 40%.
Oh wow.
From us as a data company, it's like fluctuating big time, because for the people in Dubai, they feel safe, and and you have a lot of people that are not educated about where is their data being used and why it's being used. And others would say, I'm not that important person for someone to come and track me. There's no problem, right?
Yeah.
So different points that people really look into, because we've done a lot of small group questionnaires, and we asked about, do you feel comfortable? You're not comfortable, exactly. And then others say who I am, like why I would care.
Guilty. I'm guilty as that.
Exactly.
For that, yeah.
Even myself.
Like I've never done anything wrong.
Yeah. Why to be afraid? Like, and even by that kind of like data privacy. And this is something that if you want, I would like to address all the time in all of my podcasts. Like put the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah.
Even if you are someone concerned about your data, you're happily sharing it unwillingly. Happily but unwillingly with the social channels. Be it the Instagram, the WhatsApp, you name it. Today you can opt off. But do you want to really opt off? You want to send a voice note over Instagram to your friend, right? So you opted for the mic. And we all know that Instagram is listening to us every day. Today I speak with you about Pampers. I will see Pampers on Instagram in less than 3 hours.
Right.
Where did that coming from? Where's that coming from? Did I give the consent? Not really. Did I see it? No, I did not see it. But then it's there.
I've seen it happen much faster than 3 hours. I'll be honest with you.
Faster than
I've seen it happen in seconds. It's so scary. Yeah.
Exactly. So even if you are someone really concerned about your data, you're still doing that. And these platforms are taking it without even making it highlighted that I'm taking that willingly or unwillingly. Right? But you're opting for the voice. So I can listen to you all the time. And that brings a different discussion. If you really want me to expand a little bit further in Europe, where I was sitting in the Web Summit this year as well in November, yes, and a lawyer from a GDPR compliancy perspective, he's talking on the stage about GDPR and Europe and new startups that they want to utilize AI to start helping hospitals. They start helping what do you call it? Governments in
schools.
Schools. They want to really put this effort in the community. But because of GDPR compliancy, they cannot. Because these startups, they don't have this, line item in your P&L saying lawsuits. Because this comes with a big fat check, right? And they don't have the money for it. So they said, you know what? We don't want to tap into data. Investors don't like it because of GDPR. They might come after them. They drop bazillion projects that they are amazing.
But they need data to function, right?
Yes. So that's why they drop it. And then the lawyer says, but if you look at GDPR compliances in Europe and why they've been found at first place, is because they wanted to go after the big fish, which is Facebook, Instagram, Google, Snapchat, TikTok. These are the fat big boys that they want to go after. But then are they being successful? At some point, yes, they're making millions and billions of dollars. Like Google recently had been a slap of $3 billion. $3 billion, right? And then, but what happens to the small ones? So if you look at it, GDPR is not really functional 100% because you are still going and suing them just to make money. And at the same time, you have a lot of opportunities on the table for like new startups that they want to put things in the market for the data. So you have to enhance that system. So it's not functional both ways. It's not putting the rules in place because no one is following them and they are happy to pay these big fat checks, and the others are not being able to function. So what the middle way?
What's the workaround?
Yeah, what's the workaround? So what you want to do, right? So that's why it takes you to what we can utilize on the blockchain to make things better. But that needs adoption from the markets and they have to accept it. You go again to the politics and what's happening in the SEC in US and now why Trump is coming into it. So there's a lot of talks about that kind of subject and how we can put that into action. And that's the main thing.
So are you saying that there may be an update to GDPR to sort of make create some wiggle room for these startups to really bloom? Right, because today, as you rightfully said, with this this is right with this rise of AI. It's giving a lot of startups opportunities, to grow, right? But this, I guess, maybe now it's becoming a little bit also old-fashioned law, right? GDPR,
True.
right? Or maybe it's becoming almost traditional.
True.
Nowadays, it needs to be revisited,
updated and visited. So, for example, for us, we wanted to update our technology from the back end of the data lake because of Saudi and UAE and the time difference as well. So, we wanted to do a kind of a shift. And then we reached out to our DPO, which is as well a big hassle, by the way. Every company, it has to have a DPO, data protection officer, that sits in Europe, that looks into all of your data, kind of like lake, and what do you do, and how you accumulate data, and how you save it, all of that. That's the whole process. You reach out to them and you ask them. So that's what I'm trying to do. So what I have to do, right? Because you are the matter expert here. Tell me. And they tell you, yeah, we'll revert back to you. You pay as well a big check monthly because you are taking from their time. And that's what I'm trying to solve as well in the market, hopefully. And then they revert back with a solution. So you say, okay, but in the last part of the contract where they're signing, they're saying small, terms saying if anything happens in between after this, we're not responsible. But you are my DPO and you have already told me what to do. So, but you're saying if something happens in between the process that you didn't know about, what do we have to do? And then they've sent us something saying, now everything for GDPR compliance is going to stop because the GDPR in Europe are updating their rules in January next year, this year, 2025. So you wait. So I was like, so what do I do now? I need to update my technology. I need to do this. So what's the solution? So you keep waiting and waiting and waiting. So it's a big hassle as well. It's not really a happy, I'm GDPR compliant because I woke up in the morning and I've done it. It's a huge process that takes businesses down. It happened before.
It's not, as you said earlier, is not very productive for like maybe smaller companies or companies that are not massive companies like the Metas or the Googles of the world. And why do you think blockchain is helpful when it comes to privacy?
We have to first tap into the basics of blockchain. So every time when I speak to someone, it's a fraud, or this mentality, or it's like a scam, or like. But then when I look at them, it's like, look, if you're talking about the cryptocurrencies, yes, maybe it has a big umbrella.
There's
about
a lot of
meme coins
volatility
and stuff. Even meme coin, man. If you go just watch now today, Bitcoin on Netflix.
Okay, I don't know it. What's it called?
Bitcoin.
Oh, okay, I think I've seen the title.
Watch it. That's the biggest scam ever. In California, in Florida, sorry. Right. Watch it. Let the audience watch it. It's cool. It tells you how people can fraud and all of that. And where was the government at some point? SEC tapped into it because after all of this is happening, SEC became a counselor. It's like, hey, listen, guys, we have to put a rule there, regardless if people likes him or not. He was my MIT teacher in MIT school. I respect the guy. He has knowledge, but I don't know what was happening in the background. But nevertheless,
So we're not talking about cryptocurrency.
We're talking about blockchain, right? So blockchain is the technology itself of transparency and traceability, right? So when I speak about transparency and traceability and the kind of the community that falls around it and the decentralization is the beauty of blockchain, right? So when I speak about transparency, it's like today, if I want to see Ehab, for example, or like a product moved from the farm because they tell me it's organic, right? Farm A to the store. What was the sequence of event that happened? Do you know really today? You go to the supermarket, everything is organic.
Well, even if it's tracked somewhere, I don't have access to it.
You don't have access to it because they tell you the story. But is it the real story? I don't know. So today, with the help of IoT, Internet of Things, plus connecting it to the blockchain technology for transparency and traceability, you will be able to tell if I scan a QR code on the can, it gives me the whole features of like from the farm, and even in the farm, if they give you the information about how do they water it, how do they grow it. So the traceability and transparency of the blockchain for the data itself, it's there. Part number 2, decentralization. Today, so you have something called Filecoin, right? Filecoin is a blockchain technology. They have their cryptocurrency token, but that allows you to use that token to use the service. And that's where it gives you 2 tokens. The security and the utility,
Right.
And then there where you have the legalizations happening and coming in between. But nevertheless, this is a utility.
Yeah.
Utility means I can use this token to opt in for this service from this Filecoin to do one thing.
Yeah.
I want to upload something on Amazon, which takes from us a huge amount of investment per month to store the data, process the data, do taxonomies in our system. Today, Filecoin can allow me, when it scales up and gets the adoption, if I want to store a photo, instead of going to Amazon and putting that photo there, today I'm giving just an example.
You mean as a server?
As a server,
Yeah.
right? I'm putting on Amazon server, AWS, right?
Yeah.
It will cost, for example, $1 because the whole full image is on Amazon.
Yeah.
On Amazon AWS server, it's taking the whole place. And at some point, God forbid, something happens to AWS, although they have their own systems, they can back up in every single way. But nevertheless, something happens, Amazon decides to go bankrupt, shut down. I will lose all the information because it's centralized. Now, when I go for Filecoin decentralization, where I have that image, when I put it on the system, automatically it decrypts everything. It splits it into 8, 6, 10 bits, whatever we call it. It sends it out to all of the different nodes, which is different computers sitting around the world. Now, if you are an owner of that computer or hard disk, as an example, you're taking small portion of that image. So what you charge me is very, very small and minimal. And then the other one, and the other one, and the other one. So the $1 for me became a $0.25 cents, right? So now it made me drop the cost. And at some point when I want to retrieve, that technology allows me in a click of a button, it gets all of that information again, puts me the image, and I can extract it. And if someone dies or falls down from a one node or from one computer, the others are still functional. So it's decentralized. So it gives a lot of capability for the people not to put all of their stuff in one place. It decentralizes it and drops the cost.
How is this gonna work with regulations that are asking you to make sure that the information, data is stored in one place, in a server, and like in country, in market?
So look, there is a lot of from a data security perspective, it's something, and from the data storage, it's something different.
Right. So as long as maybe you tell them that they accept the idea that this is built on a blockchain, maybe this is a way to say, okay, then if it's on a blockchain, we have access to it too, right? The regulators.
Yes.
You don't really need to store it in a server, right?
Yeah, you can store it on a cloud or whatever, and then that cloud is decentralized, for example, for different clouds. You can always go up with the idea to not from a specific server or a hard disk. It can go to a cloud, it can go to a lake, it can go to wherever, which is fluid and it's everywhere. So today, who's going to win later on in the blockchain is that people will find the solution for all of that. So for example, now why they are really fighting the blockchain? It's because you have a lot of dark money going there, right? In the blockchain itself. So there is not much of regulations, but it will be there because now you have a lot of apps that they will remove the mask, right? There is a lot of things that we can tap into because this is an open subject.
A lot of countries are, launching their own stable coins as well.
Australia, now the USDT is still there. Trump is coming to make it happen. You have a lot of countries that they want to facilitate the payment outside the SWIFT, right? Which is for the bank, and you can immediately transfer. It's very low cost. It's great.
And you also can, read about all the work that Ripple is doing with central banks across the world, right? To facilitate 100%. Transfers.
And that's why they went into this kind of, are you a utility or are you a security? And that's why they wanted to sue them. And they've been until today, it's not really sorted yet because they want to see what's going to happen. So you have a lot of very nice ideas and really it makes the whole system fluid with democracy, right? Because it's decentralized, it's not on one hand. That's what we like about it, and it's again, it's cheaper and it's transparent. That's what we want. Going back to the subject of how it reflects on the data companies for the marketing, for example, right? When I'm a user today, I'm giving like a very simple kind of example from BlahApp application, let's say. I'm sorry, I'm focusing a lot on it because that's a very...
That's okay, no.
Very, very easy way to
it's
make
a good
it
reference,
right? Exactly. Very easy reference. When I opt in and start answering surveys from the application, or I share my age or gender and nationality, all of that, if it goes in the background of a simple system, you need to decrypt, right? Or encrypt. So encryption and decryption happens in the real world by a hash that you can put there. But when you change that to make it as a blockchain hash, that will be a kind of an impossible to decrypt and then use it, unless you have a key. So you have a lot of cryptography today that you can follow as a company, where when you put data on the system and you apply a kind of a cryptographical kind of security, I'm as a user on my application, the moment I put my data, it generates for me a key.
Right.
That key will be with me only as a user.
Yeah.
So now when I put that kind of information on the system as a Web2 system, the background will be Web3, which is the blockchain. Web2, which is the normal internet we understand. When I put that information on the blockchain and I make it available for any kind of a supply chain or a demand chain or an advertiser to read, maybe to analyze, I need to give them the key
Permission.
and the permission to use my information. And if they don't have the key, my information is like a blurred image. They cannot see anything about it, right? So I have fixed at that level the kind of data privacy and ownership.
Right.
So now you own your data on that application. You choose to who to share it with and at what time and what type of information you want to share outside.
Right.
That sits on the blockchain, right? That's part number one. Part number two, if at some point my data was shared, my consent, I have a lot of advertisers asking for it, I don't really care who is, and I'm saying yes, 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 my key goes to them, they unlock my kind of information, they use it. At some point, I can go back and then trace it over the blockchain, because everything I'm doing and that's happening, it's registered as information. And it's like, it's there all the time. So at some point, I revoke it or I keep it, it's being registered there. So I can see it as well. I can see who is utilizing my data. Is it a governmental entity or it's an advertiser for a car, as an example? So from that point of view, it really helps to track and then see and then allow. And that gives me the 3 points as well to why I want to give my data. What you do with it.
Which is giving basically power to the people.
Power to the people, 100%.
Right?
100%.
In terms of, controlling their data.
True.
If they want to use it for, to inform advertisers, they can, do that. If they want to monetize, like you said earlier, somehow monetize, right? Or, I guess maybe create value out of it, and exchange it.
True.
They can do that.
True. And my ultimate goal is not to keep it centralized in BlahApp. I want to actually make it decentralized, because I want to really go head to head with Facebook. From the data aspect.
Right.
I like to do this. I like to have the challenge. I'm no one, and MEmob is no one, or like Direful Group is no one for Facebook. But the idea is, today all our data is on Meta.
Right.
Today Meta owns that data. Today, what happened in Cambridge Analytica, and I think people have to go watch that on as well Netflix. The Great Hack, right? The Great Hack is the series, the actual movie. You see that they had a big chunk of
data leak
from Meta, right, by itself, telling the politicians what to say, what to do on TV, and what to promise. Why? Because they were interacting with videos or putting some, hashtags or commenting on some posts, and all of that intelligence was being given to Cambridge Analytica to just be used to against people, because that I see it's a power and a weapon against people. Today, who told you to go and do that data leak? If the whistleblower, did not do that, Cambridge Analytica would have been doing it for until today. They did it in US, they did it in Lebanon, they did it in Iraq, they did it in Syria, they did it everywhere. Every day. She spoke about it, right? Brittany Kaiser. I've seen her in Web Summit 3 times, and I always attend her talks, and she always speaks about data wallets, and that's what I'm trying to do. I have my own data wallet, my data generating me money. You're taking it for zero value. Let me create value for this.
Right. Isn't Meta building their... haven't they built a coin?
It's called Libra.
Libra, right?
But they built it, but then the US or SEC at that time, like we're talking about 2016 or 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Where they wanted to create Libra. And then at that point, they wanted to make it available on the social, and that would be a currency. And then the government at that time was not really ready. There was no regulations, and they were afraid. Today, people, you have how many people on Facebook? 2.3 billion? I can't remember the number.
3 billion maybe,
3 billion maybe, right? And then if these 3 billion will start trading and using on the Meta, for example, e-commerce, the Meta coin, what will happen to the dollar?
It will crash.
It will crash.
Because it's not pegged to the dollar.
No, it's not back to the dollar. So that's why they were like, no. Shut it down and move on. So that happened. So it's a very big political point as well. Like,
maybe this is why they're not necessarily able to build a data wallet, right?
yeah,
Because I was wondering, why don't they build a data wallet? Because obviously they were
because they're
working
big.
on a coin.
Yeah,
They can just come in, you know,
yeah.
and
Look, what we can do today as MEmob, Google cannot do. Not because they don't have the ability, they do, but because of the international security, they will not allow that. Imagine how many people there are on Google, for example. 2.3 billion, 2.5 billion have Gmail only. Let's talk about Gmail only service. They know my location, where I've been, the emails I send, my bills, everything. Imagine they will make this data available in the internet. Or from a location aspect as a footfall of what we do. Like see an ad, interact with it. We can tell if you've been in that store or not because we have the consent from a location aspect. Great. What if Google want to do it? Of course they can do it. They know everything. They know my maps. But then can they offer it to the market? No, because if someone opts in and they want to get that information on billions of people, they will make crisis. They will be able to make crisis.
Right. They become
It's a national
a
security.
monopoly.
Yeah, it's a monopoly and national security at the same
Not
time.
that they're not already, and
Yes,
somehow,
but somehow it's the
somehow
same.
there's already a duopoly,
Yeah,
which is close to a
yeah,
monopoly.
100%. And look, for me as well as a data provider, as data company provider, when we send data, for example, and I respect that, by the way, they have 2 points of it. I will speak about it, but so for example, we send, let's say, 1,000, minimum of 3,000 people, 3,000 device IDs, let's say, to the social channels of Instagram or Facebook, Meta account, as a custom audience. So what Meta gives as a match rate is not 100%. Why? Because of national security. Because imagine today I want to communicate with you, but over the platform. And I will say, Ibrahim, listen, when you see this ad on Meta, do X. Do something, like move the table.
Right.
If I know your device ID as a company, and I send all of these to Facebook as a channel, and you match 100%, I know 100% that Brahim ID is inside the platform, and he will see the ad.
Yeah.
So I will be able to facilitate things that I don't want to do.
Wait, hold on a sec.
Yeah.
The match rate is low because
of this.
But isn't it because the maybe the user on Meta has not opted in to, or has not given consent?
No.
To allow brands
that's the advertisement part of it.
Yeah.
But the actual reality is because of all of this.
Because of what?
National security.
What do you mean? Just break it down for me a little bit.
So today, let's say we go for
because they don't want you to
terrorist attacks.
Right.
They don't want to communicate over the phone. They want to communicate over advertisements, and that happened before.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if I will tell you, you know what, I'm gonna put you up. I don't know. I don't want to relate to like places because God forbid something happens. I'll be saying something about that. But imagine just put a concept behind it. Just moving something or like go from point A to point B. And when you see the photo of X building on an advertisement on Meta, do this. Because I already negotiated with you to do so. And I told you at some point in the advertisement when you are scrolling, you see something like that, it means like this.
Right.
So if I have your device ID and I will send it immediately to Meta and it gives me 100% match rate, I know 100% that you're going to see it.
Oh, it's like the deterministic part of it.
Deterministic part of it. So that's why they give you 40%, 50%, 30%, 60%. So you have 40% out of 60. Brahim will not be there in the device ID itself.
Okay.
And that's the problem, right? So that's why it's good. It's no problem.
Yeah.
But then there's another part of it for Meta is that they want you to use their audience all the time because it's amazing and fantastic. But you have other data layers that you want to use. So you have to as well democratize that part because the same data that you give it to Facebook, it matches 30%, for example. You take it to any other DSP that they have the reach in the market for advertising, it matches 100% or 90%.
Yeah, true.
And we know today, as they claim as well, that everyone is on social. So why you didn't find that device ID on your social channel, my friend? I'm not talking about an email address. I'm talking about a device ID.
Yeah.
Right? And it's the international identifier of a person online.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a lot of, questions and we always ask, right? And something very funny happened with us. I'm sorry, I'm talking about as well about Meta today, but I'm coming from a marketing.
No, it's okay. It's okay. One of the reasons I'm happy to continue doing this podcast is to give space for people to be
put the voice up, right? Because I like to push this every single meeting or podcast or even stage I attended. I spoke about this, because people have to have the learnings, right? I like to teach people. I'm on the technology side. I sit on the background of, these like crazy numbers like going on screens and you don't see a white page, like the web page, right? You see code, but then the web page is amazing. I sit at the code side and I know exactly what's happening on the back end. So when
Meta.
when we speak about Meta and then the devices and the matching, right? So at some point I was working with a company that they target luxury people and they have their email addresses, right? So I was like, you know what, let's target these people with ads for the company. So they are GDPR compliant. They have the consent to target them with marketing. All is great. So they are the owners of that data. I'm a data processor for them. So I take their data, I process it, and I put it on Meta to do advertisements for them. When we targeted people with that ad, right, we got a funny kind of like links. And when we looked at the profiles, because I'm a data company, I have to dig into all of this to get a verification of what's happening. So when we looked at the likes of these posts, that they were dark posts to go for advertising for these people, they were not the luxury people we wanted to reach out to. So me personally reached out to Facebook and asking them, guys, this ad has to be on the people that I have uploaded as custom audiences via email address. How this person saw the ad. Right? No response. We all face this because Facebook, they're so busy, they don't respond to people immediately, right? And no response until today, right? And then you say, well, I was like, well, there's a big kind of a black box happening there and someone has to look into it. Although today the channel might be an amazing channel for performance for a lot of different brands and everyone maybe is making a lot of money there, no problem. But there's a lot of different points for SMEs, for example, small, medium businesses and enterprises. If they want to come to use the channel and they have very small budgets to go and deal with, please make it a little bit more accurate because you speak about accuracy all the time and let them have the benefits of it because their budget is very small. You don't eat them. Because today for me, when I go to social, it's like a slot machine. You put your money, custom audiences from Facebook as is, and then hit that jackpot thingy. Hopefully you're going to get it, right? That's how it works. So no, we have to look into a better kind of, reach that.
Right. I feel like it's this is a very valid point. Like using first party data on social. I don't know, especially like custom audiences. I don't know how scalable it is, right? I don't think I don't think I've seen case studies where it's been scalable. I feel like today it's beneficial to be on Meta to get like reach, to benefit from the size of the platform, the number of users, as you said, like it's, the biggest platforms, to reach people, which contradicts with the low match rates, right? Maybe, for performance, marketing, perhaps, get people to convert because you have such a big inventory, the algorithm can do its job. But when it comes to like precise targeting certain people, certain individuals, I mean, I don't know about the the custom audiences, but back to the data wallets, right? And you said you wanna go against these guys. But aren't you going to get regulated as well if you become big enough?
Like, of course, because that's the main part of, before we start any kind of a project, we look into the legalities of what we're doing, right? So from the kind of getting the license at first, that starts from there. Then you get a data regulator that looks into, is the token you're going to launch security or utility, right? From there, when you want to get the being a data wallet, we have launched that in Europe. We have an application actually in Europe that rewards people with a token. Right. We launched in the MENA market, but because in the MENA market the mentality of a token was a bit, I'm not really sure if it's gonna go right or wrong.
It's like a get rich quick
and the volatility of it as well, right? Like if it goes down or it goes up, I was like, I'm not sure. So that's why BlahApp is a kind of a real kind of fiat currency money in the world that gives you rewards in real world that you understand as a customer. And then the blockchain part is still functional in Europe, and we have a kind of a good raise there. It's like doing okay for now. Which is the same concept. You answer surveys and you share your location, and then we get that information and then we push it to the market and make sure that you are allowing this to happen. That's the most important part. For as a data wallet, we understand it really well. As a data wallet, as a user, once I give you the consent and you say yes, I want, and I don't want, we are regulated 100%.
Right.
We are off the kind of hook of someone coming and saying you are not GDPR compliant or not CCPA, because we follow the rules and we understand it really well. So from our side, it's great. And these kind of data, for example, if you and me, we're not really much of a scalable, right?
Yeah.
But then when you go for a seed ID, I call it myself seed ID, right? If I know that Ehab and for example, Mohammed or whoever, right, or Brahim, they go to gym.
Yeah.
These are sports people. Their behavior is 5 days in the gym, 2 days out, 1 day running, right? Because I see them in Al Qudra or cycling.
Yeah.
I want to capture people on the big platforms that they look the same in a behavioral aspect. So go on the channel, get these 3,000 devices from BlahApp, put them on social, any platform. Ask the platform to give you a lookalike of these people from a 90% behavioral aspect. Because now you know that this person has been doing X, Y, and Z from the real world, plus X, Y, and Z from questions that they have answered. That's a profile. Expand. Then you get your reach brought from something called seed ID of people you want to reach to.
Right.
That's the very nice concept. We're trying to push the accuracy on a big pool of people that it's a dark box for you. You don't know, like the black box there, you don't know what's happening. Let me get a little bit less for reality where I know these customers. Let me search for someone similar in this big black box. Let me expand and start understanding what's happening.
Right.
That's why we want to push that app. And I think that people, when they get the grip of it and they see the value, the more we expand on the zero-party data, because every application, similar to any client, let's say Nike, how many customers they will have in their app?
Right.
30,000, 20,000, 100,000 in the MENA market. Well, you'll be in good days, right? They'll be jumping from their seats.
Yeah.
But that's not really enough for them to do a kind of a nice marketing campaign to scale, right?
Yeah.
So when you take it, you put a lookalike perception, you understand what you're doing in the lookalike aspect, and you go out, that's the value.
Right. And also, like, not just you also need to build lookalikes based on certain key behaviors that are not available today off the shelf. Right. That's how I guess you could make really good use of lookalikes.
From a seed ID.
From a seed ID. I guess that's the technical
aspect. They call it seed ID when from the seed, because it grows into a plant, right? So the seed ID will become a kind of like a big field.
Right. So it's like an ID graph.
Yes, it's an ID graph, but it depends when you connect to the ID graph.
Right. Okay.
That's how it works.
And so you have, something very special about a person, like a very unique behavior, like you said, 5 times a week, which is a behavior that an audience that you cannot access anywhere. This is a good time and a good idea to then build lookalikes based on these 100%. Audiences. Have you seen a variation in performance when it comes to lookalikes between different platforms? Like, are the lookalikes of Meta better than the lookalikes of Google, for example? Or are the Snapchat lookalikes like the best?
Yeah. Look, there's always variations. I had a funny, I will not mention the platform, because they will come after me for sure. Because they've done that before, right?
Yeah.
And they've done that before. I'm telling you, Ibrahim. So what happened in that platform? Because I always report this. As I always say, we are a technology company that we want to make our technology work. But because you rely on other platforms today, you have to tell them, hey guys, you have a faulty issue here. Fix it, right?
Yeah.
We had 10,000 people, 10,000 device IDs that we want to share with this platform to populate, right?
Yeah.
So you get the match rate.
Right.
I got a match rate of a 2,000%.
2,000%.
On the platform from the first look. And I looked at it and I was like, and the team, they were running to my office. It's like, I was like, what? Like, we got 2,000% on this channel. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Get me 100%, right? Get me 120. You tell me there are 2 devices.
Yeah, right? So maybe one user has two devices, 2 accounts.
But although it doesn't make sense for me because I'm not sending an email address, I'm sending a device ID.
Yeah.
Unless they're doing a device ID graph at their time and they were not that, intelligent
I really
to do
want
so.
to know
right?
who was
really, I was shocked. And I reached out to the CMO.
Yeah.
And it was annoying.
Yeah.
And I was like, listen, that's what happened. This is not right. Because I rely on you. If you tell me 2,000, if I want to put an impression cap or a budget, let's speak about budget. And my client is an SME. How much budget I will have to tell him what's my reach? 2,000% out of 10,000 people? Like, are you crazy, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that we face.
Funny.
Maybe no one really speaks about them because they are maybe like, a publisher or whatever. They don't have access to this kind of, let me try and test. But we do it every day. And the things that I discover and the team discovers on a daily basis, I can put a book.
Right.
I can write a book.
Okay.
To tell them what's happening in the marketing world. And the supply, man, like websites in the MENA market, the infrastructure, and what's happening in the back end, the response time from SSPs. We can do a lot of sessions later just to address the elephant in the room. And I have no problem doing this because we are in technology and we connect with these guys.
Yeah.
I want them to make this market better.
Right.
We have data access in the international markets to a lot of different layers.
Yeah.
And we see customer maybe 2 to 3 times that has different behavior and different patterns with a 50% kind of, we've seen him here, there, and then it's duplicated. So that that's the right person because he has specific, behavior and rule. In the MENA market, the amount of data flushing and data enrichment to understand if it's a real person or not, it's a killer.
Yeah.
Why? You have a lot of fraud.
Yeah.
Everyone works on marketing and affiliate network in specific, and even downloading applications. They call it cost per install, cost per order, whatever. And thankfully for the MMPs now, they're getting smarter, right?
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of data breach, by the way, on different MMPs.
Right.
Mobile marketing platforms, mobile measurement platforms.
But hold on a second, Ihab.
Yeah.
I know that you have a lot to talk about when it comes to this topic. Why don't we leave it to another session?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay. Let's make this some sort of a suspenseful, I guess, ending to the episode. And ask the user to, wait for the next episode where we have Ehab, walk us through, I guess, the drawbacks, of app marketing.
App marketing, and then data, and then the accuracy of the data in this market, and what's the ways that publishers, suppliers, apps, fraudsters doing on the back end of it, how they can actually move on the back door of the mobile measurement platforms, what happens in reality,
Oh boy.
all of this. I have been sitting with the CEOs of these mobile measurement platforms. And I have had stories that actually I was looking at, my eyes were like wide open. I was like, why do you don't speak about this?
Don't spoil it now. Don't spoil it.
I'm not.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not. I'm so excited to speak about
I'm already looking forward to our next session. Thanks a lot, Ihab, for coming to the show. It's been a pleasure, as always, talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity to put this on the table. And I'm more than happy to share all what we know to the market, address the elephant in the room. And I hope that we can do a better market and better marketing and better advertising moving forward.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ihab.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks.